Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Taylor Inman. We're going over the week's biggest headlines for Northwest Montana. Nearly a dozen Montana fire departments have headed down to the Golden State to help fight wildfires in Los Angeles that have killed at least 24 people and displaced thousands of others. Two four-person crews from the Big Fork and Whitefish fire departments are part of a named Montana strike force stationed at Will Rogers State Beach, which sits at the southeast corner of the Palisades fire. The Flathead Valley Firefighters will work alongside crews from Butte, Silverbow, Central Valley, and Plains fire departments, according to Big Fork fire officials. They are assigned to help fight the fires for at least 18 days. The Big Fork fire crew was tasked with structure protection, said firefighter and Department Public Information Officer Al Benitez. Using Engine 332, a structural firefighting truck that the crew drove down to Southern California with, they will work to keep the flames from spreading to intact buildings. The four-person team consists of engine boss Tom Pauley, Jesse Barretto, Shady Fox, and Paul Friend. Barretto is a part-time department employee, Fox is a resident firefighter, and Friend is a volunteer firefighter. Benitez said that sending resources to California will have no effect on the fire department's ability to fight fires in Big Fork. He said because it's wintertime, they have the availability. The Big Fork crew helping fight the blaze will not come at a cost to Montana taxpayers, according to a department Facebook post. All costs will be covered by California. Benitez says to check the department's Facebook page for regular updates. The Palisades fire has burned over 23,000 acres and is at 17% containment, according to the Los Angeles Fire Department. There are currently 5,200 firefighters, 44 helicopters, 540 engines, 66 bulldozers, and 60 water tenders assigned to fight the Palisades fire, according to Benitez. Kalispell Mayor Mark Johnson said Monday that he opposed a state program that would have funneled millions into Flathead County for workforce housing, despite penning a letter in support of it. Johnson implored Flathead County commissioners to accept the funding allocated for the valley via House Bill 819 in a November letter, and that he called the lack of affordable housing a major issue facing the county. Commissioners ultimately rejected the funding in a split vote on December 31st, a decision that Johnson lauded at a January 6th council meeting despite his earlier support of the program. Approved by the state legislature in 2023, House Bill 819 set aside $50 million to address workforce housing through nonprofits across Montana. The bill made a combined $9 million available to Flathead County when including a private match from the nonprofit administering the program. The money would have provided homebuyers a loan to assist in lowering the purchase price of a deed-restricted home. Johnson wrote to the commissioners in November, quote, "Please take advantage of this rare opportunity for workforce housing funding that is needed in Flathead County. The opportunity to benefit from $9 million in resources dedicated to workforce housing and homeownership is crucial for the community," end quote. But Johnson told the Daily Interlake this week that the letter was only intended to urge the commissioners to put the bill on the agenda and discuss it. After conducting his own research in December on the program's effect on homeowners, he said his opposition was solidified. Reiterating an argument he made at last week's council meeting, Johnson said that the 1% equity cap homebuyers must agree to would make it difficult for them to buy out of the program. Johnson said that because the commissioners were making philosophical arguments rather than digging into the numbers, he did his own research. During the December's commissioner meeting, Commissioner Pam Holmquist, who voted against House Bill 819, said she couldn't condone a program she claimed would let a homebuyer purchase a home they couldn't afford. Commissioner Randy Brodell also voted to reject the program, arguing that it took the money out of the hands of taxpayers and into the hands of new homebuyers. Johnson also bashed the language of the bill. He said the legislature did a, quote, "crappy job in writing the bill," arguing that the legislation left many unanswered questions. Local nonprofits, residents, and advocates for affordable housing argued at the commissioners' meeting that the program would provide another option for creating workforce housing. They pointed out that the cap and equity would allow money to be funneled back into the program for future homebuyers. The Flathead Warming Center rolled out a series of new initiatives on Tuesday, including a hotline, law enforcement liaison position, and a care team that welcomes guests into the facility. As part of the rollout, shelter officials released what they're calling a community connection guide. The document details the North Meridian Road Shelter's guiding principles, as well as existing and new initiatives meant to foster stronger communication and collaboration between the shelter, the Kalispell City Council, the police department, and the broader community, according to a statement issued by the Warming Center. The initiative comes 2 months after a federal judge in Missoula ruled that the low-barrier shelter could reopen for overnight stays while its lawsuit against Kalispell winds through the court system. Kalispell City Council last year voted to strip the shelter of its conditional use permit, citing neighbors who deemed it a nuisance and accused it of increasing criminal activity along the North Meridian Road corridor. The new hotline allows residents to contact shelter staff by phone or via an online form, though comments cannot be left anonymously. Shelter leadership have also tapped Ray Young, the facility's program manager, to liaise with law enforcement agencies. Executive Director Tanya Horn said Young has some experience in law enforcement and in serving vulnerable populations. Details on how collaboration with Kalispell Police Department will look are still being worked out, but Chief Jordan Venezio expects to meet with Warming Center staff this week. Horn said that throughout the city's permit revocation process, the shelter never received names that could identify individuals conducting criminal activity in that neighborhood. She said with some of these initiatives, they are hoping to open those lines of communication so they have a better understanding and can be part of the solution. Venezio testified in federal court last year that the Warming Center contributed to illegal activity along the North Meridian Road corridor, saying it adversely affected the neighboring community. While shelter officials said they have maintained an open-door policy when it comes to the larger community, they now plan to host periodic open forums for residents to share their perspectives with staff and guests. Warming Center officials are also working on developing a care team made up of individuals who use the shelter services, volunteers, and staff members. Adorned in orange vests, the care team will be stationed outside the property to greet guests and, quote, keep an eye on how things are going with the transition of people moving into the neighborhood, Horn said. A few will also have trash bags to pick up any garbage. Horn hopes that Kalispell City Council will also collaborate with the shelter, criticizing the city's elected leaders for focusing on where homeless individuals shouldn't be rather where they can be. Still, Councilor Ryan Hunter recently sought to revive a stalled plan to meet with leaders in Columbia Falls and Whitefish to address homelessness in the valley. His request received the blessing of Mayor Mark Johnson on January 6th. So far this year, fewer people have used the shelter services as compared to past years, according to Horn. Though the shelter still reaches capacity on some nights, it has not occurred as frequently. Horn suspects that warmer weather may be a factor, but points to the shelter's efforts to help people out of homelessness as well. Shelter guests meet weekly with a staff member to set individualized goals to surmount homelessness. Horn said over the holidays, the shelter saw an outpouring of support, with community members donating goods and money. Thanks for joining us. News Now is a podcast from the Daily Interlake. We're proud to be the largest independent newsroom in Montana and the longest continuously published newspaper in the region. All of today's stories were written by Daily Interlake reporter Jack Underhill. Local journalism is important, and subscribing to your local newspaper is one of the best things you can do for your community. The Daily Interlake is celebrating its 135th birthday with a special subscription offer of only $19.50 per month for a home-delivered newspaper, plus full digital access to all 8 of our award-winning independent newspapers. Give us a call at 406-755-7018 to sign up today and do your part to keep community journalism alive and thriving. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode of the pod. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks to our sponsor, Lauren's Auto Repair at 1309 U.S. Highway 2 in Kalispell. Most consistently rated 5-star shop serving the Kalispell area. Visit laurensauto.com. Missions will take care of you. The highest rated in the Kalispell